In 1992, Mike Tyson went from being one of the most feared athletes on the planet to being locked up inside of an Indiana prison. And yet somehow, even though he lost control of his freedom, he knew the one thing that he could control was his training. And that's what's interesting about this story. Not the insane workout numbers or not the mythology around Mike Tyson. It's the fact that even though everything changed around him, he still found a way to train. To understand why this matters, you have to remember who Mike Tyson was at the time. He wasn't some unknown boxer trying to make a name for himself. He was already the youngest heavyweight champion in boxing history. He had knocked out fighters in terrifying fashion, he had made millions of dollars, and he was one of the most recognizable athletes on the planet. In fact, some people might have even said he was more popular than Michael Jordan. And for a while, he looked almost unstoppable in the ring. But outside of the ring, his life had become more and more chaotic. In 1992, Tyson was convicted and he was sentenced to prison. And suddenly, his entire environment changed. The heavyweight champion lifestyle was gone. No more private training, no more of his mansions or his cars and clothes or the luxurious stuff that he knew going in. All of that was gone. He was now living under someone else's rules, and he was forced to adapt. Now, this is where Tyson's story gets even more interesting than the usual prison made him suffer narrative. Because when Tyson talks about those years, he doesn't always describe them as being miserable. In fact, he says that this was some of the best years of his life.
What was one of the worst experiences you had in jail? Bad experience?
Beautiful experiences. I felt very safe there.
What exactly do you mean?
Well, I was getting prepared to come outside. I was pretty institutional. I was comfortable in prison. You know, everything, you know, I had no stress. Outside in the world, I had nothing but stress when I was out there last time. And I didn't know how I was going to do it.
He talked about having structure, time to read, time to run, time to train, and fewer distractions than he had when he was on the outside world. Tyson had entered prison weighing around 285 pounds, and when he came out, he was around 215. That's about 70 pounds that he lost in those 3 years. Now, obviously, most of us are never going to have 3 years where our schedule is completely stripped from us, and then suddenly we have hours and hours to train every day. Because, of course, you still have your jobs, maybe you have kids, you have bills, you have responsibilities. There's real life things that you have to focus on. But what I think about Tyson's experience, and something that still proves to be important, is that you don't need the ideal conditions to change your body. What you need to do is figure out what in your environment allows you to do, and then use it to your advantage. And this is where the mythology of Mike Tyson's workout really starts to take shape. If you search online, you'll see ridiculous numbers attached to his routine. 2,000 squats, 2,500 sit-ups, 500 push-ups, 500 dips, hundreds of shrugs and neck bridges and running, shadow boxing, all these different things, and numbers change depending on what source you're looking at. And I'm not going to go over the details of every single internet graphic that you'll see and try to find the official records of what he did every single day, because it changes from time to time. But what we do know is that while he was incarcerated, he exercised regularly. And we know that he had a very high training volume while he was in prison. But this is where I think that people start to make the mistake. They see these stories about Mike Tyson and about how he used to do 500 push-ups every day and think, well, okay, I need to start to get on that same type of plan. No, you don't. Mike Tyson was a heavyweight champion, and you have to work tomorrow. You don't need to train exactly like Mike Tyson to be able to reach your fitness goals. You don't need to have Mike Tyson's exact workload, but what you need to do is to train more like a mini Mike Tyson. And by mini Mike Tyson, I mean simply taking the simplicity, the discipline, the consistency, and the intensity of his training, but scaling it down to something that actually fits your life. And this is something that I can relate to on a smaller scale. I've mentioned before on this channel that when I was 16, I used to do hundreds of push-ups every day. And this wasn't at some expensive gym. You know, I was 16, I couldn't afford my own gym membership, and I wasn't able to tell my parents to go get me a gym membership or even drive me to the gym every day. So I just did push-ups in my bedroom. I did that for the entire summer when I turned 16. But at the end of the summer, did I come out looking like Mike Tyson? Of course not. I was still a pretty skinny kid. But what was important is that what I was doing was that I was building the habits and the mentality of what it's like to train every day. And what I was learning was that I didn't need someone else's permission to exercise regularly. I didn't need any fancy equipment or any real, structured routine. All I really needed was just the time and the space. And that's really what I want you to take from this Tyson story. The gym should be used as a tool, but not having a gym shouldn't be an excuse to not exercise or not to get in shape. And this is where the mini Tyson idea really starts to matter. If Tyson reportedly did hundreds of push-ups every day, you don't have to. Maybe your mini Tyson workout is just starting off with 20, or maybe it starts with 10, or maybe even just 5. That's still okay. 5 still counts. And then 5 can easily become 6, and then 6 becomes 10, and then 15, 20, and then 100 push-ups a day. If somebody else can do 2,000 squats, that doesn't mean that your 50 squats are worthless. They still matter to you. You're not trying to compete with Mike Tyson. You're not even trying to compete with the person that's next to you. Remember, it's always going to be you versus you. Can you be better than who you were yesterday? That's the only job that you need to focus on. Just simple movements, conditioning, repetition, and consistency. Mini Mike Tyson doesn't care about your ego. Mini Mike Tyson cares whether or not you actually show up. And this is the biggest lesson that I want people to take away from Mike Tyson's time in prison. Because at some point, everybody's going to go through periods of their life where things don't always go as planned. Maybe money is tight. Maybe your schedule changes. Maybe you lose access to your gym. You might get injured. Something might happen that completely drains and derails your plans that you thought you had. But that doesn't mean that you have to give up. Of course, those problems are still real and you have to handle them. And then, yeah, sometimes life can make your fitness goals harder, but harder doesn't make it impossible. Those are not the same thing. You may not control everything that happens around you, but you can still ask yourself, what can I do today? What can I control? Can I walk 20 minutes? Can I do some push-ups? Can I prepare one decent meal? Can I train for 10 minutes instead of doing nothing? You don't need the perfect conditions to make progress. You just need something that you can control. And that right there is the part that I want you to copy. Not the ridiculous rep count, not the mythology, but the mentality that Mike Tyson had. You do not need the workload of a heavyweight champion. You just need a little bit of the heavyweight champion's mindset. Because I know all of you have a heavyweight champion's mindset inside of you. Anybody can build it. Anybody can do this. You just need to be consistent, believe in yourself, do what I know that you are capable of doing. Remember, guys, action creates greatness. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.